But moving on to some of the new rules that we've seen in action. The last time we talked, we were right before spring training was about to get rolling. Now we have seen kind of the wacky, weird ways that, games may end or guys may strike out, or, we may see 1-1 counts before a pitch is even thrown. All kinds of kooky things so far. But Brianna, what are your thoughts overall on the new rules?
I mean, I got to shout out Machado on that one. But I mean, if you think about it, the World Baseball Classic didn't even put those rules into effect. So some players are trying to at least get used to it now and just trying to go to the quicker pace. But if you look at Johnny Cueto,
Yeah.
still doing his little dance shimmy, and I think it's going to take him a very long time to adjust to the pitch clock. And obviously, maybe by May or June, everybody will have it figured out. But until then, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, I think obviously we've seen Max Scherzer do his thing where he's quick pitching guys and then holding the ball, essentially kind of making sure the batter is set and then holding the ball for 8 seconds to get every single bit of time out. I think at the end of the day, I guess it's going to, make some people happy. I really don't care. I'm a baseball fan. I think if you're a baseball fan, the last thing you should want is less baseball. But once again, this is Major League Baseball changing the rules to cater to people that aren't going to watch anyway. The bigger base sizes does seem a bit like we're going to see, more runs. The ban in shift is a cop out in my mind. I think I've said it multiple times, but if you're a major league hitter, hit it where they ain't. I mean, if they have 3 guys on the right side, try and hit it to the left side. But you have guys like Joey Gallo and Aaron Judge that kind of refuse to try and hit the ball the other way, and instead baseball has bailed them out. And I think overall, we might see some more runs, and that may bring in 3 or 4 more new eyes. And if that's what Major League Baseball really cares about, then that's fine. But I don't really like the rules as they are right now. You'll find yourself in situations like Johnny Cueto. I think we love watching Johnny Cueto, and now he's going to have to change the way he plays baseball. I don't think that's the right way to go about rule changes, to make it to the point where you're literally trying to force players to change the way they play baseball. But once again, Uncle Rob Manfred, probably the most out of touch commissioner in all of sports. He strikes again. He's going to continue to pat himself on the back. Meanwhile, we look at 12 regional sports networks about to go bankrupt, and half the league probably won't even have a cable deal going forward. So that's something I think he should really actually worry about going forward. But yeah, Brianna.
So I'm thinking about the shifts as well. Let me just say it was very weird to see a shift when I was watching the World Baseball Classic the other day. I kind of agree with that rule, but because I didn't like the shifts to begin with. But the one that I hate, that I'm going to say that I've hated since 2020, that they should just get rid of because it makes no sense, is the ghost runner. I understand with the pitch clock, but at the same time, I think you need to give them a little more time to get used to it. So maybe only put it in spring trainings for right now. Don't put it through the season until everybody's accustomed to it, especially since Johnny Cueto likes to do his little dance and he's not going to be able to do it. So it's going to change a whole bunch of mechanics for everybody.
Yeah, it's ironic, at least for me, that the ITB, the Ghost Runner, is so low on my grievances now with these new rules. I don't like it. I hate it actually. But I think overall it doesn't affect every single game, right? Not every game is going 2 extra innings. Every game is going to have a pitch clock. Every game is going to have a bigger base pass or bigger base, and every game you can't shift anymore. And like I said, we're talking about major league hitters here, and it seems like instead of us being accountable and saying, hey, strikeouts are close to 50% of the at bats now, we're going to make excuses for Joey Gallo for the shift and things like that. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but baseball for a while hasn't made a whole lot of sense to me, the way they've been doing things. That's why I think I've liked the World Baseball Classic so much. It's kind of the last time you're going to see the actual baseball of just playing baseball rather than let's make sure we finish this game in 2.5 hours. Because once again, I will remind people, never once when they talked about shortening the game did shortening commercial breaks ever come into it. They would never do that because that cuts into their dollar bills. But they will put the 15-second pitch clock up and essentially bastardize baseball in their own sort of way. So, but we shall see going forward. Maybe I could be wrong, and the game does turn, but we shall see. Unfortunately, another bit of a storyline we've seen this spring training has been the injuries. And unfortunately, first it was Gavin Lux. It was ironically against the Padres going between, I think, second to third. Landed a little awkwardly, blew out a knee. Unfortunately, he is out for the year. And then, of course, we have the Yankees kind of already in midseason form with their injuries. 5 players already on the injured list: Nestor Cortez, Tommy Conley, Carlos Rodon, Lou Trevino, and Harrison Bader. And then we just saw a few nights ago, unfortunately, in the celebrations of Puerto Rico, eliminating the Dominican Republic, we saw Edwin Diaz. He is out for the year as well. But Brianna, what are your thoughts on the abundance of injuries early on?
I mean, the worst thing for Edwin Diaz was that was on a celebration. It wasn't even like on a pitch. It was literally on a celebration after they won the game. So that's what hurts the most. And the fact that he tore something on that, he knew, like the moment it happened, he knew he was done for the year. And that's what hurts the most because now Mets fans are just like, oh, I want to say what I want to say, but I'm not going to say it. Oh, no. So, I mean, we're going to still see injuries. Hopefully, the Yankees can pick it up. But I still think that even with these injuries, they are still the best team in the American League East. Sorry to everybody else and us ourselves because we don't like the Yankees very much. But we always know that they're not healthy.
Yeah. And none of these injuries at the moment are season ending. Obviously, at least for the Yankees side of things, the Gavin Lux and the Edwin Diaz, those are season ending. But for the Yankees, they will get these guys back. And, if you are going to have injuries, this is the time. I know you never want injuries, but this, with a full 162 still to play, this is when you want your guys to essentially take their knocks. And we'll see that going forward. Obviously, the Yankees will still have, a tough division going forward, but I don't think these are going to be the only 5 injuries for the Yankees. I think they'll still have to deal with some. Judge is going to get banged up at some point. Stanton will as well. LeMahieu as well, more than likely. But how they weather the storm going forward. For the Dodgers, obviously, you'll get no sympathy from me or anyone on this podcast, but you do have to feel a bit for Gavin Lux. It seemed like it was finally his opportunity to step into that shortstop role, and he's not going to be able to, at least not this year. We'll see what the Dodgers have going forward. But this is a team that's very deep. They can continue to bring guys up from the minors, and it seems like they just plug and play at all levels. But the Edwin Diaz, that's a tough one for the Mets. Obviously, they can go out and spend money here and there, but it's going to be hard to replace a guy like Edwin Diaz at the back end of that bullpen. Obviously, I know there are a lot of Mets fans who were feeling that the curse is back for the Mets, and I know there are a lot of people who were mad that the WBC happened or things like that. It was a freak accident. More than likely at some point this year, excuse me, we were going to see Edwin Diaz celebrate, and it could have happened at any time, whether it was a regular season game or not. But it's really unfortunate to see these guys go down this early in the year. But that's baseball, that's life. It's unfortunate, and for the Mets, seems like once again they're starting behind the 8 ball. Same with the Yankees, but.
And again, in terms of obviously, this is not a Dodger loving podcast. We still don't want to see anybody get hurt. Like, that's the main thing. Yes, we don't like these teams, but we never want people to get, like, we never wish for people to get hurt. It just happens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just happened.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate on all of those. Definitely for the Edwin Diaz situation, especially after such a huge win for his country, probably the biggest win in Puerto Rican baseball history, and that the celebrations were cut short almost immediately. So very, very, very unfortunate for that. But moving on to some other news, some international news. Speaking of Japan, we have Trevor Bauer. I think we both kind of came to the agreement when we talked about Trevor Bauer last that this was the route for Bauer going forward. He signs in Japan. Brianna, what are your thoughts? We see somewhat the return of Trevor Bauer.
I mean, the moment that the Dodgers released him, we knew that nobody in the US was at the time going to want to sign him, even if everybody ruled he didn't do anything wrong and he still is like claiming innocence. I'm not getting in the middle of that conversation, by the
Nope.
way. So
Nope.
do not ask us.
Nope.
Do not ask us. We are not getting in the middle of that conversation. But we knew that he was going to go somewhere overseas, whether it was in Korea or Japan. We knew it was going to happen. And from what I understand, from what I've seen, there hasn't been a lot of media in Japan like covering this, but at the same time, people are like, I mean, it's their loss because we now have a great pitcher and he can show us what he can do. Yet he wasn't found guilty, so we're okay with it.
Yeah. And look, he wasn't found guilty. I don't think he should get a black mark, whatever happened. Like Brianna said, we're not going to touch it. But the fact of the matter is he was found not guilty, or at the very least, they didn't push any criminal charges. So it's any team's prerogative to sign him. Now, I completely understand why nobody in Major League Baseball wanted to sign him. I think this is a huge tryout for him. 1 year to see what he can do. If he goes over there, throws 97, is at that level, there will be a team next year that will take a chance on him, guaranteed. But if he's down throwing 92, 93, I think it's the question of risk reward, because you're going to have to do some PR. No matter what, you're going to have to, go into the community and kind of mend some fences if you are going to bring Trevor Bauer in. But if you are going to bring him in, you need him to be the Trevor Bauer that he was, where he was an ace. Anything less, it's too much of a risk in my mind. But we will see it. It's Yokohama, the Bay Stars in Japan. It'll be interesting to see that. Unsure when the season gets started, more than likely in the next month or so. But we'll be keeping an eye on what Bauer does. If he goes over there and does well, fantastic. Maybe we see him here, but if he struggles in Japan, I don't think we will see him pitch in the majors ever again. So, but moving forward, it is time to jump into the winner's circle. Brianna, the floor is yours.
So since we just talked about Japan, I'm just going to start with Ohtani. I had him at the bottom. Let me just start with Ohtani. So obviously Japan is in the semis of the World Baseball Classic. He has been nothing short of amazing at this point. He led them into the semis with a shutout. I don't know if you saw the video when it came to one of the Italian batters staring him down, but I only watched that like 30 minutes ago, and I was very happy to see that. Because that's just what goes around comes around. If you're going to foul a pitch and stare him down like he's not going to strike you out or do anything like that, you're in trouble. Because what was it, like a slider or a sinker that he struck him out on?
I think so. It was definitely had some movement on it.
It had movement, and you don't want to mess with Ohtani. But then again, like looking at the Czech Republic, though, they did strike him out, but at the same time, they were also pitching like what, 60s?
74. I think 74 was the pitch he struck out on.
And everybody's gained a lot of respect for the Czech Republic, including Japan. And I don't know if you've seen the stories about the Czech players, but they are just in awe of Ohtani and like the Japanese team, to the point where they were trying to get autographs from as many of them as possible. But this one specific one, who kept the ball, by the way, that he struck Ohtani out on, was trying to get it signed, could not get through to him. So everybody in other country, like European countries, know who Ohtani is and have the utmost respect for him. So Italy, I don't know what you're doing, man.
Well, it's you're trying to get into his head. I mean, it's not a very good idea, but
You're not
it's
going to
an
get
idea.
into his head.
It's an idea. Who knows?
You're not going to get into his head. But moving on.